and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. So this time, Josh, my recording worked. Failed the first time, but it worked the second time.
Okay.
So we're all good. We can record this sweet audio from my end and not lose half of it.
Or have it be recorded on my end because for some reason the audio didn't send over correctly.
Yeah, it's very strange. I just started my recording and it didn't work last time. Like we did a trial run for everyone listening, and it didn't start recording. So yeah, but it's working, so we're good. Anyways, Lukewarm Open. Enough rambling.
And my name's Josh.
So last week we talked. What? Oh, did you say your name? I think you said your name.
I think I did. I couldn't remember, so I just said I'll throw it in now.
Yeah, I think let's do this. Okay. Anyways, oh man. But anyways, last week we did castles, right? We made a walking castle for the Lukewarm Open, kind of based a little bit off of Howl's Moving Castle, and I kind of wanted to build off that. No pun intended.
Okay, so we have this hippie commune floating castle. That's what our base was.
Yeah. Not necessarily the same group of people, but I kind of wanted to build off the idea of like a walking construct. And I've been playing a lot of Mech Warrior recently. Have you ever played Mech Warrior?
I have not.
Have you even heard of Mech Warrior?
Well, okay. I played a lot of mech games as a child, like original Xbox
like
stuff.
Battletech. Battletech is what I'm talking about.
No, I've not played Battletech. I know you've suggested it a few times.
Okay, well, their minis are super cool because it's also tabletop. That's how I think it originally started. But Their minis are really cool. Highly recommend. They're big mechs. So I was thinking, how would you, in like a high fantasy setting, not like futuristic like space setting, but like a high fantasy setting, how would you create mechs? Like what weapon systems would you put on them? How would people pilot it? What are you thinking there?
Well, so I have that. That does exist.
Oh, you do?
I haven't fully fleshed it out yet because
I know there's like
haven't gotten there yet.
There's like that dwarven thing that you can like climb into and it like walks around.
Well, so they're going to space in my world. They're going to space. So there are advanced technologies like that in this fantasy world. But
so would you make it more like advanced tech that you find type of deal?
Well, no, because actually I mentioned this a little bit in our actual topic this week. I like so when I think about my D&D world, I go through the spell lists and I look at what low-level spells are out there, and if these abilities are readily available.
How would a big giant,
how does that change the world?
Affect the world.
So in a world like this, you can't just look at at sci-fi. You can't just look at basic sci-fi. You have to look at what the world has in it, and if they advanced, how would it advance? So a lot of times, like, people go the simple route of, people invest in magic instead of technology. So they might be the same year as us, but they're still, like, technologically behind us, or everything runs on magic. So what I look to...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
If I wanted to make a mech, I would be like, what's the purpose? Like, if you have all this magic, what do you need a mech for?
It was more, I guess it would be more along the lines of, like, you're just sitting in a giant suit of armor, so, like, you really can't get hurt. I think that, I mean, with magic, at least in D&D, there's only, like, shields.
So what are your ideas for that? What would the mech do that magic couldn't?
Yeah, or even, like, for people who can't use magic, they can climb into a mech and, like, blast things with lasers and bombs and whatever. Like, they shoot spells and stuff.
Okay, so you more see it as, like, a magical armor. Okay, interesting. So like a...
Yes, but I think it would be really interesting, which I have a topic for next week already, too, that somewhat revolves around this line.
So it's for military purposes.
It'd be kind of interesting to have, like, a non-combat mech. Yeah, like,
I like this idea of instead of, like, a full-on mech, it's more of just, like, a battle armor, like a magic battle armor. It's kind of like an Iron Man suit. Like, it's armor that goes over you that gives you the ability
like
to
really
do
big
magic.
Battle mechs that kind of stomp around that people can pilot and get inside, and, like, you know, like 55-ton, 60-ton mechs that are, like, huge, and they stomp around and they're big armor and...
Okay.
And they...
Okay.
and they create
so
like
this will
mechs.
be a fantasy Attack on Titan like
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
where they're constantly being harassed by giants. And the fastest way to take them down is with something just as big as them.
I mean, just picture it like a cool mech like wrestling with a Tarask. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. And so you create something just as big. So,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I mean,
and so maybe the mechs like enhance the magic of the caster. So the person inside of them casts like a fireball and it like doubles its size.
I even like the idea, possibly even more of like battle suits instead of mechs. Like possibly like we were talking about earlier. I kind of might even like that more. Like you climb into like a
so when you
something
cast
that's
it
like
out of
the
this
size and a
mech,
half
it
of a human,
expands.
maybe like 2 times as big as a human, and it like magically enhances your strength and speed. So like warrior classes can like, I think that's cool too.
Yeah. So yeah, so what I'm thinking is it's a bunch of like it has like Ioun stones floating within it. So when you get in this armor, it gives you +2 charisma, gives you +2 intelligence, gives you +2 like these basic bonuses that Ioun stones would give you. So it's not you already know where it is kind of based on like how powerful those are.
What about more like a belt of giant strength that like sets
So I'm
your
saying
strength
so it has
to
a bunch
something?
of those things. So it gives intense strength. It also does all these things. Normally all of those would be attunement slots.
Yeah.
But for this time,
I like that a lot. I think that's super cool.
all your 3 attunement slots are taken up by the armor, but you are tuning to more than
Yeah, I love the idea of it like shooting around,
3 attunement items technically, because you're getting all these Ioun stones, you're getting the
launching
Gauntlet
forward,
of Ogre
and
power.
slamming into people, and like it has like a ram ability. You can like ram people.
But I also want it to fly. So it also has some sort of flying capabilities.
Jump jet. It's a jump jet.
Maybe it doesn't even fly. Maybe it's more of like a Attack on
or
Titan.
like grappling. Yeah.
Jump
I
jet,
love
or like an Attack on
grapple
Titan where they
things that
like
have. Those things are
are
so
able to
cool.
like fly quickly. It's some
I
sort
wonder
of
if those would even work in real
combat
life. How much
maneuverability
G-force would you take
it
launching
gives
on
them.
one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, heck, it can't be good.
Oh no, it would absolutely destroy you. Already been tested. 100% it will destroy you.
Like jerking around like that.
It's so many
my
G-force,
goodness.
you're dead.
Yeah, it'd be brutal.
Yeah, I've already watched many video on it. Yeah, it's so much G-force.
Could you put like
Yeah.
okay, back to the lukewarm open a little bit. Would you put like a repulsion shield on it too? Like if somebody were to hit you, you can like reaction to like throw up +2 AC or something, or that'd be kind of cool too.
No, I would do more of like it has a few Hellish Rebuke slots where when it gets hit, it kind of like lets out this blast of energy as a Hellish Rebuke, but it only works when in melee range.
Yeah, I think you could do some really cool things with like battle suits like this. What would they look like?
Okay, now this is definitely going in my game
Yeah. Oh no, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, yeah, I have to put this in my game
because it
how
already
would-
has
what would you have it
spaceships and
look
stuff.
like?
This is like a high level thing though. So I like for okay, anybody who's seen Magic the Gathering's Kaladesh set, there's kind of this gold or bronze with kind of like these
I know what
blue
you're
energy
talking about.
running
Yeah,
through
yeah.
it, and it's such a great like aesthetic for fantasy, but also armor, and it has this kind of like blue energy, like these almost like parts of like, and it's just so good, and it's so good for any sort of like advanced technology.
What about like
in fantasy?
What about more
terms?
like a junker look, like a steampunk junker look? Yeah, like I guess like
an old one?
steampunk junker look is what I'm kind of thinking. Like it shoots out steam and stuff as you like propel.
Yeah.
you
So
forward.
the problem is, I
feel
would
like that's not
reserve
quite as like high tech. As
anything that allows you to like use or attune to more than the normal amount of things should be something that's so like reserved for something so much more like there's a sophistication behind it. It's such a complex thing. I wouldn't just let it be
it might be fun though to have like a crazy
junker
old,
thing.
old like gnome wizard tinkerer who happened to create something crazy
that's
like
just
this,
me.
and, like just made out of junk that he found around. I mean, that might be kind of cool too. But I think I like the idea better of like like a tarnished bronze with like these blue like arcane energy that shoots through them. I think I like that even more so than like a junker. Although I think it'd be fun to have like a mix. Like people maybe have tried to like recreate, like maybe this was a lost society and people have tried to like recreate them. So they have like these weird steampunk versions, but also they have these like high tech ones that they found. I like maybe a mix. I think it would be fun. Yeah, like the picture you just posted in Discord. Yeah. That tarnished bronze with like the glowing blue like magical energy that
so that's the aesthetic. So cool. That's Kaladesh.
Yeah, I see. I pictured it like this, but like a little bit.
It's
older. Does that make any sense? Less future.
Well, no, I understand
looking.
What you're saying. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, no, totally.
This is just the aesthetic I prefer.
It'd be so cool, and you could do like cool like arena battles with them, and have like people like that would get in these like mech suits and entertain people with these arena battles. And once their mech suit like shuts down or whatever, or loses its energy shield or whatever it gives you, then you win the battle. I think that'd be fun too. Okay, well, I think what we're 15 minutes in now. I think I'm gonna
cut us off here. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this off here,
and we're gonna the real topic.
Yes. So the real topic, it's kind of related to what we talked about last week because I wanted to kind of add to it a little more. So last week we created was the blood magic.
Is it just me?
People and the harvesters of it. And
for some reason, it feels like it was a lot longer than just last week.
I feel that too. It does feel like it's been a while. I don't know why.
Like we haven't done this in a long time.
Probably because we didn't have D&D this week.
Yeah, that's probably
Last week, we created the blood magic and harvesters of it. So this week, I researched blood magic from the game Dragon Age. And I want to create the mechanics behind how our blood magic works. Because we've been focusing on story and kind of making story stuff. And so I was like, hey, why don't we try like dealing with the mechanics of it? And actually then we look at the mechanics and then we see how that actually influences our world.
So like creating...
And it will be an important pillar of our world.
Creating the mechanics of this blood magic?
Yeah. So Are we
making a dungeoneered class?
No. No, because what we had blood magic be was everybody who has hit die could use blood magic. Right. And blood magic uses your hit die to do things and influence things. We didn't flesh it out more than that. That was just what we had. And I loved that idea, and I wanted to kind of expand on that with you.
Let's do it. All right.
Now, and I want those mechanics that we develop today to kind of influence other things that we build in our world. Because... I heard it expertly described when discussing Skyrim and its magic system. Skyrim has a lot of different spells in it, but none of them have any impact on the world or its history. For example, the Elder Scrolls still has a gold-based system of currency, but they have a spell that could literally turn iron into gold, which would devastate that system.
It's like my favorite spell because I can make unlimited gold rings.
Exactly why. That's why it's ridiculous. But this is because of a design philosophy where they looked at spells purely as fun things to add for the gameplay, but they weren't thought of in terms of what would a world with this power readily available look like? Because most of these spells in Elder Scrolls, you just find a book, you know it.
Yeah, no, totally.
So,
or like the ability to
anybody could learn that spell. Yeah. Now, this is fine for certain things like the Elder Scrolls, but I'm looking and trying to create immersion in my D&D games.
Okay.
But let's go back to the topic of Dragon Age and blood magic. In Dragon Age, blood magic is forbidden and shunned in most parts of the known world. This is common in most fantasy, since hurting yourself to become stronger is actually shunned in our society, like our current society.
Yeah. No, totally.
Our real life one. Doing things that in the long or short run will hurt you to get ahead is seen as bad culturally. So this is reflected in our media and entertainment as well. Dragon Age has a source of magic called the Fade, which in the broadest strokes means that it's really
the
Fade is another realm where magic comes from. But this realm is also dangerous, full of demons that can actually control unskilled spellcasters.
Oh, geez.
But blood magic completely skips the Fade. Instead, it draws upon the user or others' blood for casting. Blood magic is able to fuel regular spellcasting and twist blood in others for domination or violent corruption. The first blood magic user said he learned it from Dumat, an old god.
Gumat?
But this is Dumat, D-U-M-A-T.
Oh, they said Gumat.
No. But this idea that he learned it from an old god Dumat is unsubstantiated, and many other ideas have actually been put forth that are more likely than that. But the spread of blood magic throughout the world was aided by a nation called the Tevinter Imperium. The Tevinter Imperium is one of the only nations in the world that says, oh yeah, you use blood magic, go for it, we don't care. They're like, blood magic, great, because the Tevinter Imperium is a magocracy that believes in magical supremacy and becoming powerful. However,
classic.
In the history of the world, the Tevinter Imperium once ruled over the world, and this was with the help of their blood magic. And as we know from just real histories that we can see, when a nation takes over a whole bunch of land, their kind of culture is like there are remnants of it left upon the world.
Okay, so I may have missed this, but what exactly is blood magic in Dragon Age again? Like, what exactly does it do? Like, you hurt yourself and you get power?
It fuels regular spellcasting. So instead of using mana or any of the normal ways of casting spells, whether it's
got it. Okay, cool.
That's going into the Fade and doing other things. You can do all of that instead with yours or someone else's blood. But there is also, you are actually physically hurting yourself to cast these spells. So it is, if you weaken yourself too much and somebody can just kill you in one hit, that's pretty dangerous. But blood magic also is, it's highly related to summoning demons. So bringing demons into the world, which is also highly stigmatized against doing that. It also has some spells that can only be cast through blood magic. Now, a lot of the spells that only blood magic can cast are control spells or very violent, gross blood-related spells.
Can you
that deal with corrupting or dominating others? If you were to get
somebody's blood, can you like dominate them with their own blood? Like, does that help you in that regard, or
I believe
that's so
so.
Creepy.
I believe so. Yeah. In Dragon Age, much of the world and culture is based around the Chantry, a religious group. The Chantry has stories that suggest blood magic was a major component of breaking into heaven, and as they call it, blackening the Golden City, which also created these horrible hordes of demons called Darkspawn that attack about every 50 to 100 years, further ingraining hatred of blood magic into their believers. The years and years of stigmatization that using blood magic got has all but erased it from most of the world except the Tevinter Imperium. Now, partially because of this stigma, the majority of people who use blood magic are evil people, seeking to summon demons or do evil things, further extending the idea that blood magic is evil.
Gosh, that'd be so
now,
overpowering.
What can blood magic do? As I said earlier, it replaces the mana required to cast spells, so in D&D terms, it could create spell slots or replace them altogether. Yeah, but the big thing about blood magic is that it doesn't have to be your blood. It could be your enemies as well. So, say you hurt your enemy, taking 3 of their hit dice.
Yeah, totally.
And then already hurt them through that, but also explode a fireball on them that you paid their hit dice for. So it's very dangerous and it's very powerful. Interestingly, when blood magic originally appeared, it wasn't as its own school of magic, but it actually was seen as an augmentation for others, because you could use it to cast spells of any school. Over time, spells were discovered that could only be cast through blood magic. And it also has some weird interactions with a Fade, but if I were to try and describe all of that to you, it would take so much time describing the Fade and how it all works and how spellcasting works in Dragon Age, so we don't have time for it. But it actually makes it...
Yeah, totally.
It makes it very deadly against spellcasters as well.
Here's a random question for you.
A random answer.
Do you usually come up with like how people are able to cast spells? Like what kind of like magical currents or anything like that? Do you normally come up with something like that in D&D?
And the penguin was her mother.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, that's just what I do when people say a random question and I say random answer.
Yep. All right. Anyways,
But no, it depends. I when I first started out, I think I incorrectly tried to change and make everything unique for my world. And I think a lot of that was, a lot of it was unnecessary. And a lot of it was it was more confusing than it was helpful or interesting to the world. Like I created a whole calendar, and the days, there were 8 days of the week, and it was all these things that it just ended up being confusing rather than interesting. And so I used to think about all these things like, oh, how's magic work and how does all this stuff, and come up with every little thing about
that kind
all
of stuff, but nobody ever cares about it.
And I found that just and I found that just going with what is there already, it just works. So it's so much better. It's just because people already have a basic understanding of how D&D and its magic works, and so adding anything to that, if it's too like foreign or too hard to understand at a glance,
because like if you even start making like a calendar, if it's going on a calendar now, if you make a calendar, then you have to make like, why is there 8 days instead of 7? Because in the real world we know why there's 7 days, but like, you have to start making everything about everything. Otherwise, like, it just takes such a long and drawn out process. But I think a reason why people can create magic, I usually like to make something like that along those lines, because then it kind of like brings things into perspective.
So like with my last campaign, I had a group of people that were called, I based them off this group in Dragon Age, and I couldn't think of a better name, so I just called them the Chantry as well. And the Chantry in my world were anti-magic people. They hated magic. They saw it as dangerous because they had this event in their history where a deity kind of lied to them and made them think that magic was the reason they were cut off from their god. So they began to develop ways of being powerful without the use of magic. So I created this. It's really its own spellcasting class, but it's constitution based. And so the way that that all worked out was that the way D&D has magic is that there's this veil, and the veil goes over everything, and it's the weave. And the weave, when you cast spells, you partially tear the weave to like release the energy required for the spell. And the higher level of the spell, the more the tear is. And they have a deity that one of their major jobs is just repair the weave, repair the weave, repair the weave, repair the weave every time somebody casts a spell. And it's just kind of continual in the background for this god. And so I had something like that, and so they train themselves to be able to physically see the veil or the weave, and when they could see it, they could pull it and manipulate it. And so it was literally like pulling, and you're interacting with raw magic. That's why it's constitution, is you're literally like forcing magic to work the way you want it. And so they could interrupt spellcasting by literally affecting the weave around the caster and do these things, and that was how their constitution-based class worked.
Yeah.
And so I did go super into how does spellcasting work in my world, but I kept it very similar to what D&D already had, so that yes, it's there and fleshed out, but it's not like if a player does not want to engage with it, they don't have to.
Yeah. And then like kind of what you were explaining a little bit too, like every single class, how they cast magic and how they interact with the weave or whatever is different. And so like then you have to dive into all that, and if it's already kind of made in a interesting way, it's kind of easier just to take that. Because like how else would you even describe magic? I mean, that's a whole other topic though. But
do you want to? That's a big topic.
You know what I'm saying?
We could try
like,
that.
There's a weave that you take magical energy from.
Very much so.
We definitely should, because that's a super long topic in and of itself.
But an interesting discovery that they had in Dragon Age was that blood magic is actually one of the only cures for like this demonic corruption called the Taint. And the Taint is corruption from the demonic creatures that I mentioned earlier, the Darkspawn. And so these darkspawn leave this taint, and it's normally just like horrible. It's like, oh no, like there's nothing to fix this. But the one stigmatized, horrible, supposedly evil magic is the only thing that can technically cure or fix that, which is just really interesting to me.
That's super interesting, yeah.
And actually, through the games, you meet a few spellcasters, one of them in the last game, who actually makes the comment like, hey, blood magic isn't as dangerous isn't more dangerous than any other type of magic. They're all just as dangerous. And like they actually have like good reasoning behind their statement, and they explain it. And then another one, the sweetest spellcaster you'll ever meet in the games, she is actually a blood mage as well. And you're like, what? You're a blood mage? You're just so sweet. Like, what are you talking about? And so they do these things where they really they play on your expectations of, hey, just because this is what the chantry says or what the world says doesn't mean that that's what every single blood mage is.
Yeah, they set you up to think like...
but they wait till the second game to do that, and then the third game as well.
Bad, I guess, and then they give you somebody who's like super cool and super awesome, super nice.
As I said, my idea for this week, for our topic, is that we should create the mechanics of how does blood magic work in our world.
Ooh, okay. And we originally had, like, you use hit die to... That like shows that you have the potential to use blood magic, correct?
Okay.
So then I guess
all
we
we
have
created
to use,
last week
like,
was that.
I'm assuming then we go like you have to sacrifice hit die to do stuff.
Yeah, so that's all we created.
Or is that just
so
like
if
a
we
part
want,
of
we could
blood
make
magic,
it purely
like
hit
one
die
of the abilities
related,
blood magic gives
which
you.
Then would have a already built-in strengthening. Like just
limited
as you go
system.
up levels, you get more hit dice. You can do more things.
I kind of like it to be more than just hit die.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or we could expand it upon to be other things. So,
yeah,
okay,
I think I want it to be more than just hit die.
Well, no. So what it could be is,
but even then,
let's take a little
really
bit from the
Blood
Hunter
If we do,
book.
I mean, that's so much to think about.
Like you cut yourself and you do damage to yourself, and like have it be subtle things. Like maybe just don't have blood hunters in your world and just do that blood hunter ability.
Well, I like the idea.
Blood magic.
I like the idea of blood hunters are tapping into this blood magic, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like blood
so
hunters,
it's just a class fully based around
tap
the blood,
into this
blood
sphere,
magic.
You know, the potential in everybody's blood. Yeah, and create magic.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea too. If you were running like a really gritty campaign, to like you can literally sacrifice your HP to regain health slots or spell slots. Like you can sacrifice 90 HP for a 9th level spell, like 10 times the
I think it's just unbalanced.
level of the spell
I
you
think
can sacrifice your HP for.
Like if you want a first level spell slot,
you think that's
taking
too
10
overboard?
damage for that is ridiculous, especially when you're low
Yeah,
levels.
but low level first level spell slot can
taking
insta
90,
kill somebody.
But hold on, taking 90 at high levels is, I don't know if it's.
I mean, that's a lot though. For like Caleb
I guess it
in
is.
Critical Role had
he
barely
never
over
got
100
over
HP.
100, which is just. I mean, he was only level 16 by the end, or level 14, 17.
But yeah, so by the end, by level 20, he's gonna have like 120 HP, if that. Taking 90 from that is a huge sacrifice. Just like taking 10 from
that's why I think we should make
second
it
level
easier.
character is a huge sacrifice.
Easier at the
is
beginning.
Is it too much of a sacrifice though? That's the question.
But
I mean, the first level spell
eventually
can literally one-shot enemies at first level. So like having a first level spell slot at first level, regaining that is really powerful. Because you know, if you're fighting goblins, for example, they have 6 HP. You know, 6 to 10 HP. And a first level guiding bolt is 46. You know, you could like insta kill them. So I like the sacrifice to be a lot. And the other question we have to discuss is like, does everybody get to do this?
Anybody with hit die can do it. As we said, blood magic relies on you. So it's only heroes, quotation marks, that could do this. So that's why I wanted to take out Blood Hunter.
Yeah.
Because I think if you
what would a fighter be able to do then?
Yeah, so then you just give those abilities to as blood magic things that you can do.
Because then they could like hurt themselves and do damage on their blade.
So what I'm thinking
about, like,
is
the ability to spend hit die during battle to heal yourself or to do damage, like a smite, a version of a smite, but
smite's an interesting idea. But I think
with blood magic,
I think there would be something nice about like letting you do more of what you could do. So more of what they already can do. So like with the Battle Master, you can use a hit die to as a battle maneuver. You can use it to get a free battle maneuver.
Yeah. See, so I think, I don't know, and tell me if I think like blood hunters have dived more into this blood magic ritual.
They do.
So like when they cut themselves, they have it on their blade permanently for a minute or something like that, right?
Oh no, yeah, it is permanent.
How long is it?
It's for
for a duration.
Like a minute.
But like if we did
minutes.
it for like fighters, for example, I love the idea of them being able to hurt themselves like blood hunters do, but it's only like a one-time hit instead of like permanent. Does that make sense? So you're not like
so blood hunters get a permanent
because they're practiced in
in
trying to harness blood magic. Whereas like a fighter, for example, can spend, do X amount of damage to themselves to do damage in one shot, like a smite type deal.
Yeah. So okay.
Does that make sense? And I also think I'd limit it where you couldn't choose.
You can't choose what?
Well, I was gonna say you couldn't choose after the fact. So if you got a crit, you couldn't be like, well, now I hurt myself.
Yes,
like you'd
totally
have to hurt yourself before.
It's just like a smite, like a smite spell.
But smites you can like a smite
spell. So what I'm thinking
is
so like say the blood hunter ability gives it like a D6 on your blade. So for the smite, like for the blood hunter thing, it would be blood smite. It would be like it does 2d6 damage, but you take 1d6 of damage yourself.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that blood hunters get all the blood hunter abilities plus the ability to also smite.
Oh yeah, I definitely
wouldn't
wouldn't take it away. I just think they know how to control it more. So they take less damage, but they deal less damage, but they sustain it longer. So they just learn to control it, and they use it in the best way possible.
Then mechanics-wise, so far, we have, like, you can hurt yourself to regain spell slots, you can hurt yourself to do extra damage with your blade, right? Do we want to do, like, you can hurt yourself to gain extra actions? Do you think that could be a good mechanic,
too? I might stick it with,
too?
like, bonus actions.
You'd have to balance it with, like
I wouldn't give a full-on actions. Like, I would leave that for the action surges.
But, or just one extra attack.
Yeah, like one extra attack, something like that. Like you can attack as a bonus action, something like that.
Yeah, like if you deal, a certain amount of damage to yourself or whatever, you can attack an extra turn. Like you're pushing the magic. You're essentially using your own blood magic to like fuel. And I would even see like, okay, like if we take the haste spell as like a base for this, because the haste spell does that. When it ends, you get exhaustion. Like what if like you
I think if you do more
temporarily boost yourself with this blood magic to gain an extra attack or whatever, like there's some sort of other consequence to it, because it'd be kind of tiring, right? I'd think.
I don't know if we make it a fully half, or maybe it's a quarter. If you do a quarter of your own health, like over any. You calculate how many times you damage yourself, and if you do like a quarter of your health, then you become exhausted. If you do half of your health, you get 2 levels of exhaustion.
I have a really good idea. What if we make it constitution based? So you can use your blood magic abilities, the number of your constitution modifier. If you go over that, you start taking other penalties.
Yeah. So
that way con has another stat besides just
equal to
HP.
your con modifier.
Yeah, and then if you go over using your con modifier, you start getting exhaustion, you start, losing certain stuff. Because that would make sense, right? Because like the more constitution you have, the better you are at resisting the effects of blood magic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these 3 ideas. How would you work like using other people's?
I think they can,
blood?
But
would they be able to use other people's blood or only their own?
Willing. Or they get to make a save or something.
Because like you could run into some really OP problems if like you can take other people's blood and
so that's why what I said in while we were talking about the topic is that you take their hit dice. So you're not dealing damage,
extra actions or extra damage.
You're just taking their ability to recover after the fight.
Got it.
So if they run away, then you have definitely inconvenienced them. You've definitely hindered them, but you're not dealing damage to them and then getting to deal extra damage. That makes sense?
Okay. So then would everybody be able to do this that can use hit die?
Any blood magic user? Yes. So I don't think you just tell the players like this is a thing in the world. I think it's more they learn that it's a thing in the world. And so anybody who already knows that it's a thing in the world is using it. Yes.
I like that idea. I'm just concerned about the mechanical aspects of it being like really strong to use other people's hit die.
Well, okay, we have not said what a hit die can do.
I mean, I guess then you would just like limit. I guess that's true. So like, what would you be able to do if you like use their own blood, their own hit die against them? Would you be able to gain the same effects that if you were to spend like your own blood magic to do so?
I
mean, I would assume so, right? I would assume so.
But so
okay.
the thing is,
okay,
we've
no, I have
so
an idea,
far
then.
said it.
I have another idea. So you, as a blood magic caster, are more in tune with your own blood, with the own magic inside your blood. Using other people's is difficult and is a higher cost. Does that make sense? So using your own hit die for stuff is direct hit die to benefit whatever, or using your own blood magic is your own blood magic direct benefit. Using somebody else's, there are like the cost like increases, but you're not harming yourself. So like it's harder. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
So so you attack a person for their hit dice. What does that look like?
Well, I would say like if you hit somebody, you can use a bonus action to extract their blood and then be able to attack again, right? That type of thing. Like attack the same target that you hit again because you're using their own like blood magic against them. However,
but you still have to roll for it, correct? It's not just an automatic hit.
Yeah, you would still have to roll again to hit. Like you like hitting them, you'd get the ability to strike again because you can like harness their own blood magic to boost yourself.
What is the save?
But what I'm thinking,
a con save
probably.
on their end?
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah, you'd probably give them some sort of save.
Because then a lot of high level people have really high cons, so it wouldn't get overpowered.
This is later down the road, but you could even do, which we need to discuss, like how you could influence somebody by having their blood. I think a grave cleric gets to do this, or a blood cleric. There's Matthew Mercer's blood cleric, I think, gets to do this, but like you can influence people's minds with their with blood. But anyways,
yeah. So that's definitely a thing of blood magic in Dragon Age, is that you can 100%. It has controlling, domination, charming, suggestion, abilities that you can do with it.
Yeah, like I'd say if you've harnessed somebody's blood, like they'd have disadvantage on their wisdom save to being charmed or whatever. Like when you're casting a charm spell or whatever, like you can spend a hit die to do so.
Yeah, if part of the cost is spent with their hit dice, they have disadvantage on the save. But see, I thought about that, but I also thought that might be a little overpowered.
Yes and no. You'd have to, I mean, you'd have to think a lot about balancing it for sure. But I want to stick first to hitting somebody and using their own blood magic to like attack them again, right? So I'm thinking like if you hit somebody, they probably get to make a Constitution save to resist the blood magic effect. And if they resist, it means that you can't like use the magic within their blood. Does that make sense? It's like they have harnessed, they're able to withstand the intrusion that you're trying to do to gain power from their blood.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's their contest of their con, like how hardy they are to resist you, like using their own blood. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that how you'd do it is if they failed, you'd get like an extra attack on them, right? So you could hit them again. You'd have to make an attack roll and do everything like that. But you're only allowed to do this. I like the idea of still like equal to your Constitution modifier because it's your like con, like your strength.
Oh yeah, I definitely think it uses one of your con modifier uses.
Trying to pull their blood from it. However, I think it would cost like double, so like 2 times because with yourself, you're like...
Okay, people don't have very high con mods. I would leave it just at 1.
Okay.
Like, the most you could have is 5, and so I think leaving it low is fine. I think leaving it 1... So every use of blood magic, no matter what you use it for, whether it's for an extra hit or for doing something with hit dice, I think leaving it at 1 is fine.
Well, here's my thing. How I was going to have it be done, like, the fighter can also use a Constitution, like, use one of the points, one of his con, to hurt himself to get an extra bonus action attack.
No, but I see that.
So,
but also,
the benefit is
you're seeing
it's
this
double the cost to use somebody else's blood, but you don't hurt yourself. Does that make sense? So yeah, in order to gain an extra attack,
so blood magic would be something used very sparingly in combat.
Well, I would probably want it to be.
Yeah,
unless I made an entire class dedicated to it.
Okay, yes. So
because
I think that makes sense.
I wouldn't want it to be.
They have to use 2 of these.
I wouldn't want it to be so overpowered.
Yeah, you don't want it to overrun their normal
like
class.
If you're a fighter, like what's the point? Or like a monk, for example. Like we have to be careful because even if we do extra bonus action attacks,
you specifically
a monk
made
already gets bonus action attacks
about the fighter.
Flurry of blows and stuff.
So I think at least from what you're saying, from what you said originally, it sounded like you were going to have something unique for each class.
Possibly.
play on what they could do.
I might do that. Yeah, because you'd have to be careful with running into other abilities that classes
and so
maybe
it's they get to just do a flurry of blows using blood magic instead of a key point.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Is probably what you'd have to like. Yeah, I mean, fighter. I guess you'd have an extra attack. You can blood smite. I think everybody gets the ability to blood smite. If you're a melee class, like if you're everyone gets the ability to blood smite. That's like the universal melee class.
Yeah, so maybe they have one universal.
And then I'd probably give like an extra for each class.
So it's like one universal, one special.
So then like your class gives you access to other blood magic features. So you can regain key points using your blood magic type thing. I probably wouldn't make it you gain flurry of blows from blood magic, but you can use your blood magic to get more key points.
Yeah, that'd be a hard thing to figure out.
Does that make sense?
What is worth?
Well, it'd be like sorcery point conversion to spell slots for a sorcerer.
No, I understand what it is, but you have to figure out exactly
what the conversion ratio is.
What is a fair amount? Yeah, that's what I was saying. That'll be the hard thing.
But they can only use it up to their Constitution modifier. So again, that limit is still there. So they can use one. That they say their Constitution is 4. They can use blood magic 4 times per long rest. They can use it to gain 2 key points back or whatever. That's probably even as like a free action, probably or a reaction or anything like that. But yeah, like so it's very limited still. And then like we said, blood hunters are the expanded of it. Like they can do all these cool abilities with blood magic along with these base ones too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what Monk would do. You could spend some blood, you could spend your blood to gain key points back. If we did fighter, it's you can spend blood to get attacks, because that's what all fighter is all about is attack. So you could expend blood magic to gain more attacks.
Barbarian.
If we did paladin, okay, barbarian. Let's do barbarian. Barbarian. What would we do for barbarian? I want to avoid resistance to damage because you're hurting yourself.
That's the one I've been trying to think about. I was thinking like resistance to damage or extra AC or
to like 1/4. Like if you're raging,
well,
you can
I know, but that's actually why it's very good. Is because you're like, I'm going to take this 10 damage to have resistance to this 80 point fireball.
Being able to 1/4 damage is really
so I'm going to
good.
take a lot of damage on myself to half this fireball.
But I guess it would be like
I
a
don't know how
rogue's...
balanced it is. See, that's the thing. Like, one of the things that I was, Well, no, so I was more, I always think when I think about Barbarian, I don't like thinking about Bear Totem because it already seems really powerful. So I was thinking about, for the other ones that can't half fire damage, can't half other stuff like that. And it'd be nice. Maybe they're fighting a psychic person that does these really powerful psychic attacks, and even the Totem Barbarian can't half that. And so they wait and then use their extra resistance blood to gain that.
Yeah, I like the idea of mitigating damage. What if we did like you sacrifice you can roll a hit die and that's how much damage you reduce, or you can spend a number of your hit die to reduce
you can
the damage
reduce
by that
it
much.
by hit die, like almost like trying to catch
Yeah,
it.
because then it's
with a monk.
It's like reverse smite.
I was
like
thinking
reverse smite.
catching it like a monk.
Yeah,
with the arrows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
where you roll to see, and if you mitigate it all the way, you catch
so you use
or
1 point of your Constitution modifier to roll a hit die plus something, right? You probably want to add plus something to that because otherwise it would be
plus con,
probably.
But it doesn't.
Yeah,
you can
I
add
like that.
But I'm going to say that if you use
or is it
5,
like plus your level even?
No, because I think if
like
you
can
add
choose
5
however many
hit die,
you
still are only adding your con
spend
ones
to reduce the damage by that much plus your con mod. So let's say that's a good question.
How much damage are they taking to do this?
What if it's not? Yeah, I mean you have to. What if it's not damage? What if it's just your hit die? And if you run out of hit die, anyone who's using blood magic that runs out of hit die probably dies, I'd imagine.
Faints.
Like Barbarian's unique in the fact that they're not hurting themselves, like they're just resisting the damage.
Yeah, it goes to 0 hit points, probably.
Yeah, that's probably what would happen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I also like the idea of
where they don't
Barbarian
die,
still hurting
they're just down to 0 hit points.
Then it's like a interesting risk reward. Like as a reaction,
That's why I wanted it to be that.
Yeah, like you literally cut yourself with your blade to try and resist to gain access, because the whole point of blood magic is you hurt yourself to gain access.
So what I'm seeing is
the magic within your blood.
It's like a blood shield that pops up.
Yeah, Yeah, to be able to absorb the damage.
So
yeah, you would probably cut yourself for
burst forth.
I mean, do we go with the weapon that you're using?
Yeah.
But then again, what would prevent them from just using a dagger instead of their great sword?
I like it to be the weapon you.
Like it's probably.
Yeah, and I think that's up
whatever
to the
weapon you're using.
Okay, I don't think we're making these leveled to be for putting them in a D&D book.
No,
I think
exactly.
we're leveling these for, hey, this is going to be fun in a campaign. This is not. It doesn't need to be perfect, and it can be messed with and edited by anybody.
This is just basic ideas that you can have with blood magic. This isn't anything mechanic based yet. That, I mean, we're not like literally throwing this in our game or anything.
Oh yeah, we would look
throw this in your game yet.
Yeah,
either,
we would try
totally
this.
Unbalanced, but
yeah, we
just
might
ideas.
try this and see what we think works better or what works worse, and figure this stuff out.
Yeah,
but okay.
Yeah, totally. So yeah,
but no. So I was gonna say is that I think it's up to the DM. Like you can decide like that's your main weapon. That's what you're using. You're not using a dagger. But I think an important thing to an interesting thing to point out is that by higher levels they'll have more powerful weapons. So I think it should quotation marks should remain semi-balanced if they're getting magic items and things that augment.
Yeah, like cutting yourself with a flame tongue is a little bit different than a dagger.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, let's leave it there.
Now on
the
to rogue.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is they might cut themselves and the shadows envelop around them, so they get a free hide, like a free action hide, pretty much. It's not like a bonus action hide. It's like a free action
to hide if you like cut your.
Yeah, you take damage, and the shadows seem to almost envelop around you, hiding you, and then they make their attack with advantage, giving them sneak attack.
I like that. I think that's really good. The thing is it like swashbucklers get their sneak attack on 1v1s anyways, but I guess you would have free advantage.
Yeah, you'd free advantage exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
It would still have something.
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, like you get a free hide action if you
take some damage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, what if we
sorcerer like key points? You get sorcery points.
Well, what if we did like if we played a little bit more and did like dexterity, like they could use it outside of combat.
Oh
too.
No, these are definitely none of these
are
locked
for
into
a dexterity
combat.
check to be able to hide.
Like I think the barbarian could do that whenever. To like, you're
like
surprised
pickpocket.
and attacked.
Right? No, totally.
But I guess
like a rogue,
you
what
wouldn't
if
have
we
your
did
reaction unless you have the alert feat.
Yeah. No, we'll just keep it at free hide action or free use.
Yeah, and so I think they would be able to do that.
Okay, what if we did a free use of its
Well, so I was kind of taking it
cunning
as
action.
You just automatically
dash
stealth.
with it. They
like
could
you
do
don't
all
have
sorts
to
of
roll
different stuff
for
with
it. The person you're trying to sneak attack, you are stealth.
See, I think I like
because the shadows literally envelop around you.
Yeah, but I think I like you still have to roll though for it. It just gives you the opportunity.
Okay.
But that's something we can discuss totally later. But yeah, like you can hide, like you hurt yourself to be able to hide for free, essentially. I think that's really good. Because then you can use your bonus action to dash. You can use your bonus action to do other things as a rogue.
Okay.
Super good. Next one. Paladin. Let's do Paladin. Paladin's where we're kind of going to be running into some issues here. Because they already Divine Smite, which we have them being able to spend...
Divine Smite. No, they could get... So, they make an attack.
Oh, they get a free
so
Divine
they make
Smite.
An attack, and then just like a barbarian, they can use... that it would count as like this using that level of spell slot. So they could instead of using spell slots to get a higher level smite, they can use their hit dice. Because one of the problems paladins have, they don't have very many spell slots. That's why like Sorgadin is very powerful because the sorcerer gives you a bunch of spell slots. So like the barbarian, we let him use
based on how much you hurt yourself.
Hit dice to get a spell slot. It's purely no, I was having it more be on you make an attack, you can choose to swing wide and like cut yourself as well to add a smite onto it, just like you would add a divine smite later on. Because the one thing about our
can be
our like blood smite that everybody's getting, every martial class, it has to be decided beforehand. This for paladin can be decided after. Yes, just like Divine Smite. And so it would just be just replacing, instead of Divine Smite using a spell slot, you use hit dice.
On top of your smite.
And it still has the same restriction. You can only use, I think it's like 5d8 you can get is the max. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the whole base class already.
No, it's just it's just allowing them to.
Have
no, it's
that
not
for
on
the base
top
class,
of.
right?
It's
Like
pay.
base,
The payment for Divine Smite can be used with hit dice or spell slots.
Okay, so this one is
Nope.
you can. I think. Well, yeah. Well,
No, that has to be decided beforehand, and it's not as powerful.
yeah,
as
I think
that.
actually it's just your hit die. You can just spend your hit die for the base one, and so this would give you just extra uses of smite, which 2d8 is better than any hit die you could spend. Yeah, I like that. Okay, yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah, you can just like pretty much use extra smites by sacrificing hit die. So their version of the blood smite is just better. Yeah,
So
I think I'm
this
okay
is
with
a
that.
hard one. Ranger.
Yeah, Ranger.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So Ranger.
Yeah.
Because all
yeah.
Rangers are so different from each other nowadays. Like, what can all Rangers get that's, especially if you're using the optional rules versus the regular rules, you're like, those are very different types of Rangers.
Yeah, see, the half casters are going to be a little bit more of a problem because they have such a variety of things they can do, from spell casting to animal handling to
Yeah, and they could be. Yeah, they could be like a mainline spellcaster if that's how they set their class up, or they could be like use that just very sparingly to augment their attacks. Who knows?
Okay, so here's a bonus then. Okay, here's a bonus to going a half caster is you get the ability to smite, but also the ability to regain hit spell slots using
And
your
that's just all half casters. So that would be
blood magic.
Eldritch,
So that will be a
Knights,
complete bonus.
Arcane Tricksters.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Eldritch Knight would be able to. Yeah, Arcane Trickster. Yeah. So the benefit of being a half caster is that you get access to both because you can tap into everything, which I think is totally reasonable, totally fine. So I think that solves that problem.
Favorite enemy.
What does a ranger
terrain,
get to do? So they have favored enemy, right? What does every ranger get? Can you spend? Oh, could you spend your own blood dice to make whatever enemy you're fighting your favorite enemy?
See, that's a problem. If you're using the optional rules, having your favorite enemy be the person you're fighting is actually good. Before, it means literally nothing. Oh, I'm facing my favorite enemy. Oh, if I wanted to think about my favorite enemy, I got some benefits, but hitting them means nothing. Yeah, that's why it's like, let's just skip Ranger for now.
I don't want to skip him, though.
Let's cower it out
I think
and
we
just
can do
say,
something for sure.
we're going to skip him for now.
Okay, cool. Let's do that.
No, I do, but I think we should. I don't think we have a lot of time to think about it, so I think we go on and then we come back. So who's next?
Warlock. Maybe.
It's another one where it's like they're all so different from each other.
Yeah, they are. They for certain are. What if we? Yeah. See, the half casters are so hard to do because they're so. Like, all fighters are like fighters virtually. You know what I'm saying? They're just like different variants of the same thing. Whereas like half casters are so different. Because you can play a warlock with a bow and a sword. You can play a warlock with spells.
But they do get
totally
the
different.
ability to get spell slots back, which is incredible for a warlock.
Yeah, that's super helpful for a warlock for sure.
Do we give them like almost like a version of inspiration?
Yeah, I think bards are probably going to play off inspiration, right? Yeah. What would help? What would
That gives them a higher chance.
hit die as inspiration? Yeah.
Okay,
I think it should be
interesting.
able to
So
work on anybody.
bards. So we'll just talk about bards right now. Bards, it's like they can use their hit dice to pretty much inspire
Yeah,
themselves.
like you can hurt yourself to inspire
but it only
yourself.
works on themselves.
Yeah, totally. I think that one's really easy. You can spend hit die to do
but
anything
it
you
allows
normally
them
would
to
with your
also
bardic
do it on
inspiration.
themselves. So they most
that
likely
one's
will save it for themselves.
pretty
but
self-explanatory.
they also have the option of giving it to
So
others.
even like yeah. I would even probably limit.
Okay,
like,
cool. That works.
I'd probably limit it to class too. So you couldn't use it on yourself. Only lore bards could because it's part of their ability. So whatever it would just be basic bard inspiration.
I think I would
But
not
it would
do
make
that.
it would make
I would like
lore
the
bard
idea of this being the
partially
one
useless.
thing that they use there.
That's like
They
one of-
hurt themselves and they can. No, it doesn't. Because you're
Lore bards' main things is that they can use it on themselves.
you get so many inspirations.
You only get your charisma modifier and inspirations.
You only can do these with hit dice. Ever?
Your charisma mod. That's why I think that's why I think it should just be bardic inspiration. You gain extra uses of your bardic inspiration. And if it's a lore bard, you can use it on yourself. It's just you're tapping into your magic to be able to inspire And if you're a lore bard, you know how to use it to influence yourself. If you're not, then you can't. If you're a lore bard, you can use it to cutting words as well, if you wish. Like, just because you know how to tap into your magic doesn't mean you know how to inspire yourself with it.
I'm going to look something up, and then I will say what I believe on this. But for now, let's go to the next one.
Cool. Yep, agreed. Sorcerers? Do we play with, like, sorcery points?
Yeah, let's do that.
Like the monk, but with key points? Yeah, like you can spend your blood magic to gain sorcery points. Stuff like that. Or you can spend it to use meta magic options. One of the two.
Sorry, what was the other thing you could do with it?
You can use it, or you could use it to do meta magic options.
No, I think you gain sorcery points, and then you can use those sorcery points to do
on your meta
magic things.
Agreed. Cool. Wizard. This one's a little bit more difficult.
Oh, change prepared spells.
Well, that's what I was kind of going with. I was going with like you can something with prepared spells. I think would be really good because wizards have such an access to. Like maybe at the start of each day you can hurt yourself and increase the number of prepared spells you have. So like you essentially embed that magic into your blood magic that you can use. Because like the whole benefit to being a wizard is having all of the spells at your disposal. Yeah. And the limit that you have with a wizard is that you only can prepare a certain amount of them. That's why I thought it would be interesting
to change them up with blood magic.
Yeah, but exactly. I like
you're like oh no.
Being able to change them with blood magic, I guess you'd use that in battle. Like all of a sudden, hey, I wish I had this spell. You like hurt yourself, and then you gain access to that spell.
Or oh no, I have all these fire spells. This person's resistant or immune. I need poison spells, or I need cold or ice. So you learn what they're vulnerable to, and then you can.
I like the idea of being able to change damage, but there's already a wizard subclass who can do that. That does that now. It's in.
Yeah, that's why I was not saying. That's why I wasn't saying that. I was saying you could just change the spell.
Yeah, like you can hurt yourself to change your prepared spell list. One spell per something. Probably just one spell per time you use it, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. I like that. Just you can change their prepared spell list if you like hurt yourself, essentially. If you tap into your blood magic. Druid. This one's also a little bit difficult. You can mess with wild shape, but that would be pointless because you'd just be able to gain access to unlimited wild shapes as much as your constitution modifier. So I don't know if I like wild shapes.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't touching wild shapes. I was thinking spell slots or
yeah, you just run into the moon druid being even more. Well, I guess they would get unlimited anyway, so then blood magic would be useless to do wild shape stuff.
Okay, most animals have very low spell con mods. Most things that you can turn into. That's what I was. Well, no. So that's what I'm saying is. So, what I want it to be is it tallies up on both the animals and theirs con mod. So they have a 5 con mod. They turn into something that has a 1 con mod. They use their thing. That means that form can no longer do that because they already used the 1. But when they go back, they still have 4 more they can use.
No, I'm just worried.
Does that make sense? Does that? And so what I was thinking that each hit die could do, well, which each. Well, no. So that's what I'm saying. It stacks up on theirs, so they can't go past theirs, even if they turn into something new. If it's past their con mods, because their con mod is being tracked at all times, so it doesn't matter if you turn into something that has a 5 con. If you only have 4, you can only use 4.
I'm just
worried about. But if you turn into a
bunch
bunch of things that have 1 con mod,
how many times?
No. This is not. I'm not. It doesn't allow you to wild shape. That's not what this hit die does.
Like the amount of hit.
Yeah, the hit die doesn't give you wild shape. That's not what I was saying. What it does is, one, I'll say we give them the ability to get spell slots back. We just give them that as well. But what it can also do is it can allow you to cast a spell while in wild shape. So something that normally is reserved till very late for a druid, you get to use it like once because they only have a con mod of 1. So you're only going to get to do that once. But just like in a time of desperation, you could hurt yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
And then get a spell out.
The main issue is that, moon druids already get that ability
later, very, very late.
But I think it's
like 18, 19,
late.
20.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it'll still be fine because of how late they get it. Well, that's what it would be in my world.
Cool. Yep, that's fine with me. I'm not sold on the druid idea, but
I think that's where we have to end because we normally try to stop around this time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you could run into with that.
Yeah. But you could always change it for your world. But if I had this in my world, I think that's what I would do. Anyways. Unless I found it to be ridiculous and not work.
Yeah, my warlock idea really quickly was you can hurt yourself to gain access to another invocation at the start of each day.
At the start of each day? Like switching your invocation?
No, like you just get an extra one. Limited to what your class can have.
I think...
Yeah, but I mean, so like
I still think that would be too powerful.
Yeah, you would look at all the prerequisites and make it more expensive depending on the invocation. So if it's 5th level prerequisite, like you have to spend 5 hit die to hurt yourself to gain access to it. Yeah, I mean they can only gain access to the number of con modifier they have.
Yeah, I think there's so many invocations that would just be a pain for me, and I wouldn't want to do that. But that's just me. Yeah. Well. I think that's where we're going to end.
Cool.
Thank you all for listening to episode 38 of Dungeoneered.
We're making it. We're getting further and
38, man. We're making it. We're doing it.
What are we doing for a special 50th episode?
I think we have to discuss that off the air.
You're buying me pizza. That's what we're doing.
For
cool.
all of the listeners, nice. Aaron will buy pizza. Great. Just tweet at him your address.
Whoa.
And...
yeah, I'll send you pizza. Yeah. Nope, that's not happening.
Just tweet him your social security number, your mother's maiden name.
Yep. Yeah.
And
totally.
he'll send you a pizza. It may seem like it comes out of your account.
I had another idea randomly for Druid, and this might be really overpowered, but increasing the CR that you can turn into as a...
I think that's too powerful.
But that might be really overpowered.
That's why I think casting in it would be interesting. But we got to end. We are pushing it. This is going to be a long episode.
I know we do. Yep.
Thanks everybody for
listening.
Haven't
ended, Josh. Stop talking.
if you've listen to us on a podcasting app that has reviews and ratings, please rate us, review us, let us know what you think, and also it helps us get more listeners by showing that you are engaging with the show in other ways. I think that's everything I got to say.
Yes, sir.
So glad that it's summer.
Yep.
I just wish it would rain more, but that's just me.
It's raining currently, though.
Which is nice. Well, always remember, be the sharpest barrel in the bunch. See you next time.
And doses.
I can't even.